Welcome, everybody, to the Legacy Lounge. So happy to have you here. I love watching that little video because it truly inspires me to show up and inspire each and every one of you. I'm JB Owen, and founder and CEO of Ignite Publishing, and we are here talking about legacy. And as you can see, we're igniting lives, we're igniting humanity. And I love that you've all showed up because many of you have come over for my other show, Ignite Humanity Live, that we do every morning, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And now we're here doing the Legacy Lounge. And why are we talking about legacy? Well, as you know, we all are focusing on igniting our lives and doing the best versions of ourselves possible. And many of us are starting to think about legacy. What can we leave behind? What can we do? How can we create a bigger impact in the world and touch the lives of others, not just ourselves? And that really is around building legacy. And why do the Legacy Lounge? Well, I want to bring in legacy leaders, legends, people who are really moving the needle in their industry, people who are making a massive difference, and talking about and unpacking what is legacy so that you know how you can create legacy in your life. A lot of people are like, I'm not a legacy maker. I don't know what legacy is. And that's not true. Each and every one of us has the power to create a legacy, an impact, something, a reminder. What are we here for? What can we leave behind? And these legends come into the room each and every week to share with you ways that you can make legacy and legendary opportunities in your life. It's really a lot of fun. And for the next 30 minutes, we're going to be talking to a phenomenal guest. Let me take the time to introduce you to her, making magic, doing incredible things, creating legacy. And we are so happy to have her here. Ladies and gentlemen, Maria Simone, also known as the Soul and Money Catalyst, is a business and fundraising strategist who helps bring about transformational change. She is a speaker, author, philanthropist, executive producer, and skilled deal maker. Together with her co-founder, she established Zen Moose Capital, a social impact fund that creates and invests in innovative media, technology, and real estate solutions. The Zen Moose portfolio includes media assets such as the Telly Award-winning charity Makeover reality TV show and Operation Impact, the Smart Moose NFT Club, and the United Tiny Homes, one of the fastest growing affordable housing solution companies. She has done so much, so many interesting things. We're going to unpack all those and talk about those. Maria also has an upcoming book, Love Yourself Rich. It's highly anticipated. She's been featured in Success Magazine. She's also made appearances on ABC and Fox TV. And Maria was knighted Dame by the Orthodox Order of St. John and proudly serves as a founding member of the Association for Transformational Leaders. That bio is incredible, powerful woman, really making legacy, connecting in so many areas. And what I love about it is she is just so grounded, so conscious, so generous, so genuine. And you're going to get to meet her right now. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I adore you. I think you're so fabulous, and I'm so happy to be here with you today, JB. So
thank you so much. And I appreciate you too, because as I tell people, you could be anywhere in the world right now, busy lives, busy business, moving the needle on humanity. And you're right here with us for the next 30 minutes. And I just honor that and cherish that because it means a lot to many of us. We are working, we are learning, we are gaining our skills and our strengths. We're stepping into this idea of legacy. What does legacy really mean? Some of us are just dabbling, sticking our toes into it. Can you unpack a little bit what legacy means to you? Because I'm fascinated. Every guest that I've had on the show has a different viewpoint and idea about legacy. What does it mean to you?
You know, it became very prevalent in my life starting about 10 years ago. You know, I realized I wanted to start doing things that would impact lives long after I'm gone. Like I started thinking very, very seriously about that. And then I looked at all the ways I could do that. And that's how, for me, that's where it gets started. So obviously, you know, legacy in our own families, you have children, your generations go on that way. But so that is a physical legacy. But then you also have the financial legacy. So making sure that you are, maybe setting up money going down different generations, and not just in your family, but out to the world. And also just sharing other gifts. There's so many other ways that you can have legacy. And so for me, on a bigger scale, legacy is we wanted to, around money, my domain has been around money. I'm very good at fundraising. Like, I know how to capitalize projects. I know how to attract money, receive it. I'm very good at that. And so I know I get things funded. And I said, well, why don't we create almost like a bank for transformation
Mm.
for people, for the creators and innovators who are solving our problems. So with regard to the money and the financial legacy, I wanted to have like this large fund that would go on without me. Like, that's another way that we're creating legacy. And so there's so many ways. So I think so I look at all the areas of my life where I could have an effect long after I'm gone. And that's how I look at it.
There are a lot of layers to legacy because it's not just one facet. And I think many people who are making impact and becoming legendary, for example, are looking at all the areas of their lives, just, spiritual, emotional, financial, relationships, community, give back. There's just so many
Yes,
different
so
ways that
much.
you can make an impact in legacy. I have a little acronym that I've created for legacy, and I'll share with you, and maybe you can give us some ideas. L stands for leverage. I often say to people that some of the best legacy makers really love to leverage, and leverage is not a dirty word. Leverage is actually really quite powerful.
It's a very spiritual word for me.
Yeah, talk
It's
about
very
it.
magical. So go ahead, finish your acronym though.
No, I'll go with them one at a time. Like, so let's talk a little bit about leverage. Like, many people are feeling like, I don't have, I don't know how to do it, I don't have the skills. And I feel like leveraging other people's skills, opportunities, skill sets is really helpful for you to move forward. And many people who are making legacy and making impact don't try to do it all by themselves, don't try to do everything.
Right.
They utilize the skills of others. How is leverage working in your lives? You have some examples of leverage. How can people be utilizing leverage?
Absolutely. I'm the queen of leverage. So I look at, first of all, let's look at relationship capital. I think we all have, what that I believe that's the one thing that, especially in your community, I'm pretty sure that we have many givers, many people who are, out there doing things for others. And as a result of that, the currency that comes back from that is all of this relationship capital. And so, your now when it's your time, you want to start leveraging that relationship capital. There are people that can open doors for you. There are people that can invest in you. There are people, that know what to do with your ideas. And we have a tendency not to ask and not to
Mm-hmm.
allow others to support or ask for mentorship, ask for support. So there's so many ways of leveraging your relationship capital, and not even to make money. I mean, I when sometimes I network not sometimes in my title, I always say I'm a consummate deal maker, because I know how to put people together who would mutually benefit from that relationship. And I ultimately can profit from that. So I very intentionally leverage, people in my life to get things done. And also I can get financial remuneration. So that's how I see it. That's why to me, leverage is a very spiritual word. It's very magical in business. When you start leveraging, you actually take quantum leaps in your
Mm.
business. When you allow other people to come in, that's less that you have to do. You're going to get more things done. You leverage other people's money to help invest in your ideas so you can grow, and all of that. So those are some of the ways that you can leverage.
It's
Yeah.
interesting how a word has a frequency. I always felt like leverage was a kind of a grind. Leverage was like out of balance. Somebody was really pushing the other person and leveraging them
Ah,
and kind of muscling them. And it's
that's
interesting how
funny.
I was
That's
taught
business
that.
magic. To me, that's like business magic is leverage. When you learn
Right.
that, it's it's beautiful.
And
That's funny.
again, we are taught words, or we put associations to words, or we give words some meaning as we're growing up. And so I agree. Like, I always felt leverage was somebody muscling somebody else, and I had to retrain myself that there's a power in leverage, especially when you create a win-win-win or a win-win-win-win. Can you talk a little bit about how leverage really excels when everybody's winning?
Well, that's the key. When you're leveraging, there's a difference between exploiting and leveraging. So when I say it's to me, it's business. Leverage is business magic. When I look at the word leverage, I always look at it from the perspective, how can we all win? So it's always winning. I'm not exploiting anyone else to my benefit. That's not leverage. Leverage is doing more with less, really having a concentrated effort. So in leverage, for instance, if I'm leveraging um, someone else's money,
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. When you have money, when you've been, you have financial abundance, the only way you're going to continue growing your wealth is to do something with that money. So it
Right.
must be put someplace to grow. And so if I have an opportunity where I'm giving people an opportunity to grow their money with me, well, then I'm leveraging their money into an opportunity where they have the opportunity to grow their money. And I could use that resource, or whoever, the person who requires the money, um, could utilize that resource. So they're leveraging someone else's money to have their dream grow, and then you share in the fruits of that. I mean, that's a simple, use of leverage. Now, when it comes to fundraising, people freak out about it. Oh, I can't ask for money. I can't talk about. It's like, but then you're like, that's like purely, in a purely spiritual way, that's the way it's supposed to work. But we stop it at the gate. So that's a very simple way. Now it must be a win-win. You
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that it's an opportunity that will, and that's the other thing you have to, caution when you do take in someone's money. You want to be aligned with it, and you have to have the correct deal. And for all intents and purposes, you want everyone to succeed. That's the thing. It gets exploitative when you're taking someone's money and you're not giving them a good opportunity. You're not giving them value. That's not leverage per se. To me, that's more exploiting. So leverage is where, yeah, you're utilizing, other people's resources or your connections for everyone to grow faster and go faster.
I mean,
You have more of a
we're kind of
compound.
leveraging you right now. We're kind of leveraging your
Yeah,
skills, and we're leveraging your mentorship, and we're leveraging what you've learned, and you've been there before
exactly.
us. And that's a really wonderful thing, folks. You want to leverage people's um, learning, their wisdom, the things that they've gained, and the way you make it a win-win is you always give back. All right. Well, let me share you with you the
And
E.
JB, by the way, very simple. Even doing a book, you have a body of knowledge, and the most tedious way of sharing that knowledge is one on one. The You start leveraging that knowledge when you write a book.
Mm.
Now millions of people can read your book. We're also leveraging my knowledge, your wisdom, all of that right now in this show, where potentially millions of people could watch the show, and that's a perfect example of leverage.
Amen. And we want to say thank you to the 6 million potential viewers we have. We hope that we are touching your lives with legacy info. All right, well, let's talk about the E. The E for me is evolve. I think legends and legacy makers are constantly evolving. They're not afraid of change. They don't resist change. They don't expect everything to be the same all the time. Can you talk a little bit about the power of evolution as you're growing in your business?
Well, I think our soul, to me, once again, this is very spirit. See, to me, money. I mean, business is a platform for your soul's evolution. I think, as we
Yes,
come into
yes.
this, we're all we can't just stay static and happy and not change, on this planet. We grow and evolve through contrast and being confronted and having opportunities to change and grow. You just die if you don't. I mean, there's just no purpose to living without that evolution. And so we all have different platforms to evolve our souls. Sometimes it's through relationships, sometimes it's through health. We see people that have health struggles all their life, and that's how they evolve and grow. To me, people also choose business as a path to their soul's evolution, because there is nothing as confronting. I mean, this is truly, you know, incredibly confronting to actually start your own business and do all the things that you need to do. And so you're constantly challenged and confronted. And, you can't, your confidence and your worthiness and your deservability, all of that is coming up and screaming and must be dealt with. Otherwise you fail. So it's like, it's just the way it is. So as far as evolving, it's like, amen. That if you don't evolve and grow every minute of the day, you just can't, it just doesn't happen. You can't succeed, I think.
It's a beautiful way to look at it because many of us go right to the tactile or the tangible. It's like, well, I didn't get that deal, or I didn't open up that store, I didn't make this fiscal amount. And we make it so measurable in the tangible. And what you're saying is so powerful because I meant to become a better person. I meant to challenge myself. I meant to open up my mind. I meant to give more. Those are measurable, but they're so internal and they're so personal. The measurement is, really defined by the business owner. I think that's a magical thing because it's not somebody else's measurement, it's your measurement.
Yeah. One of my mentors early on told me, he says, most people are running their businesses like they're folding deck chairs on a sinking Titanic. Like they don't, they, you have certain urgencies and priorities and, they may want to just look in one place, but what's really needed is, for them to look over here. And so it's not what's happening outside of you exactly. I think that a lot of it is internally, like how you're reacting to things and how you treat your priorities and how you stand up
Right,
for
and what you
what's
pay
needed.
attention to, what you
Yeah.
put your intention and your attention. My good friend Lisa Nichols, of course, she says, "Don't focus on the pennies on the floor when the dollars are sitting on the table."
Yes.
Don't put your energy on the things that actually aren't as important.
Exactly.
Focus on what's right in front of you and what really matters. So,
Yeah.
I think evolution is what you said, it's internal, it's our own, and we got to be excited about it. Like we got to be like, okay, here comes an opportunity for me to evolve. Here comes an opportunity for me to grow.
Yeah, we tend to get stuck, and we've spoken about this before. People have a tendency to get stuck into what's breaking down, and they focus on they're not even failures. They're just learning lessons. It's going to help you get to another place. I've had incredible learning lessons that have taken me to the ground, under the covers, in a fetal position. Like that's it. I'm so done. God, take me now. And as a result of that, because I got out of bed and I said, okay, all right, we can keep going, because I took another step. I realized that wasn't for me. I was like being protected. Like something got wiped out a while ago, because actually that was a dangerous situation for me. And it turned out that a little pivot I made got me into a more abundant, more aligned situation. But so we can't focus on all the other stuff. We just keep going. It's a journey. And that. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but it truly is a journey. If you just focus on having fun along the journey, you're definitely going to get to your destination.
It's got to be fun. You got to enjoy it. You have to love it. I actually heard a really great saying that said, rejection is God's protection. And I thought that that was a really good one, because sometimes you feel like you're being rejected. Sometimes you're getting turned down. You're not getting the
Yes.
promotion you want. Somebody didn't say yes. And it's actually, if you can see it as like, oh, I'm actually being protected from something I don't even know about. The universe is protecting me. It actually makes it so easy to be like, okay, what's
Yeah.
next?
Well, and that's true. I do agree with that. And also it's an opportunity. Well, where can I improve?
Yeah.
Especially when you're raising money or you're going for big deals, and you start, you have some things that are happening rather consistently. You do have to look at yourself, not to get attached. Don't get attached to the no. Just say, well, how can I improve myself? But
Mm.
also, it's true. That's usually not for you. That's something, and I do agree. There is a certain amount of protection happening.
Folks, I want you to pay attention, because Maria is sharing like positive mindset. Like, okay, it's not for me. Okay, how can I learn? Like, none of what she's saying is where legacy makers think. They don't think in the doldrum. They don't think in the not possible. They don't think in the no is a no. There's just a different mindset. And Maria, you and I can agree, it comes from practice. Like, you don't just wake up one day and be like, I got this all down pat. I figured this all out. I'm going to make legacy tomorrow. There was this process, this trial and tribulation. This was exercising this muscle of learning these things and learning from trial and error. Would you agree?
Oh my gosh, my first business. I was so I was very what's the word? I had a very successful career in the corporate arena. This is many years ago, and I said, I'm going to start a business. I had a retail business. It was almost on a I was on a dare. I actually started. So this is like my first entrepreneurial adventure. I'm going to start a retail business. And I was very cocky, because I had been really successful in corporate. But here's the deal. I always had a budget. I always had a team. So I knew marketing. I knew how to build, the business side of what I was doing, but I had never had my own business. And I didn't realize, when I got into my own business, I didn't realize what a big sucking noise a business makes. It needs to be funded. It needs fuel. And that just totally freaked me out, because then I was so confronted with money, like, oh, wait, where am I going to get money? Like I practically bankrupted myself going through the process, I didn't know how to raise capital. I was so self-conscious about speaking to people about money. I didn't think I deserved it. I thought I was supposed to do this all on my own. Like it was horrible. And I couldn't wait to get out of that situation. Fortunately, I grew it quickly. I sold my business within 2 years, but I was like, wow, that was a learning lesson. Like I realized what a number one, poor relationship I had with money. And number two, it's like the fear factor was off the charts. It's like, okay, let's go back in and try it again. So I was very conscious of like what was coming up for me during that process. And I just kept getting better and better. And I as I understood the gaps of my, what was reality and what my knowledge was, I just kept learning and closing those gaps until now. When I start something, I always say I have a Midas touch, and it's like, how people say, overnight success, 30-year overnight success or something like that. It's like, yeah, of course, I bet after all these years, I better do well.
I have the Midas touch because I have had the Midas burn many times.
So yes, I never gave up. I never gave up. I always allowed myself, if you can put aside some of the judgment and just give yourself, okay, I won't do that. Lisa always says that. Oh, won't do that again. Oh, right. Won't do that again. And if you could just put aside, and that's why the whole love yourself rich concept, if we could just love ourselves more, gives ourselves a break, and do away with the shame, blame, the judgment, and just keep moving forward, you're going to be successful. It will happen. The only time it doesn't happen is when you stop.
Well, let's talk about your book because I'm excited. I can't wait for it to come out. What was the impetus? What was the reason that you decided this book needed to be written?
Well, you know what? I got my start in so years ago, I was a pharmacist. I started out as a pharmacist, believe it or not. And I always worked in intensive care units, like coronary care units. And I was part of the code team, and which is very, you hear code blue in a hospital. I was on the team. I had the cart. And so it was a very intense, I call it organized chaos. And if you've ever seen, you may have experienced it in an emergency, facility, or have seen it on TV where everyone gathers around and it's like, it seems like it's very chaotic and bedlam, but there's a process happening. And so for every situation, there's a very specific process that you keep moving forward. Yes, no, yes, no. And until you have the patient where you want them to be. So, and I always, so clinically, I've always had that teaching, professionally in my life. But I realized going personally, so in business, I always had that. I always know how to do business. I always know the steps, but personally, I realized I didn't have, like, we don't have that personally. We don't have a process where it's kind of like a formula, a blueprint for how to do certain things. So while you're moving forward in business or doing other things, you're still running this program personally. And for me, it's like my guardrails. So I realized, I created this for myself years ago, and this is what has always kept me going. So as a result of that, I never give up. I've been able to operate in multiple industries. I always have the resources I want. No matter what happens, and things are always going to happen. I cannot say there's nothing idyllic. I still have a lot of crap that gets thrown at me, and of course, we had COVID, and I've been divorced. I mean, I've had the same stuff that comes up, but I have my formula for getting through those times, those codes, those traumatic moments. And people ask me about it all the time. And I realized, oh yeah, I've always had that blueprint. And so I started sharing it. So love is about, you can either put your life in a container of revenge or hate or love. I do love. I build out of love. So I show people how to, put that. And love mostly is about, your own self-love. So as I said, you want to put yourself in a state of eliminating the judgment, the shame, the blame, all of that, and how to stay in that place. And then you build from there. And so rich is an acronym. It's also the story of my life. And it's also a metaphor for having a rich life, which I believe, to me, rich is another very high vibration word. And I think there's a lot of richness in our lives that I'm encouraging people to look at that. as well. But rich mostly is an acronym, and the R stands for expanding your capacity to receive, which we're just part of what we're talking about. If you're going to build business, if you're having relationship, especially, and I focus on some of the domain of money, but you can apply this to anything. I've applied it to relationship and everything. You have to be that person. You can't just wait till you get there. You physically and like literally, like so many ways, you have to expand your consciousness. If you want to be a rich person, you have to start thinking that way. And I had to, especially when, we're building, for instance, $100 million fund. That's a lot of energy. That's a big, like I had to be, and I've had millions of dollars in my life, but we're entering a whole new world. So I have to expand my capacity to be a steward of that money. And so even when you're ready to give birth, you have to learn how to be a mother or a parent. When you're getting ready to get married, you don't just go from being a single person to a married person.
Mm-hmm.
There's a transition. You have to learn how to be in relationship. I had to really, especially, I got married later on, and now I'm in a relationship for the last, another relationship for 10 years. So I was a little older, when I was in these, being married, and now I'm with my true soulmate right now. But, I had to learn, like, a relationship is a third entity.
Right.
So you have to expand your capacity to embrace that. Otherwise, you cannot be the same person. So R is really important. I is just ignite, and I'll quickly move forward. It's about igniting your intentions, igniting your passion. And that's a whole other thing.
I actually, if you don't mind, I would love to just cut you off for a minute, because I actually want to use this to get people to come to into our backstage pass. And I want to use it to get people to buy the book and watch the book, because folks, Maria has an incredible acronym for rich. Her book is amazing. And one of the things that she has agreed to do is come into our backstage lounge, and where we have our own mastermind, where she goes into more about her book, more about the teaching, more about the principles. So if you want to join us for the backstage pass, just go to legacylounge.life, because we're going to talk for another hour in there. We do this show to get you excited to see what's possible and make you realize, like, I actually am ready to learn. I want to step into it. Folks, go to the legacylounge.life, and we will just give you access to the next hour with Maria. If that's not going to work for you, we'll put up Maria's, her URL and her website. She's got lots of content, lots of free gifts, lots of things that she gives away. She is a consummate giver. That's what I really enjoy about her. She's always saying, I'll connect you with so-and-so. I'll set you guys up. I'll get you guys to connect. I love that, because legacy makers, they give first, they give all they got, they give everything they can. And that's what makes a big impact. Maria, I'm sorry to cut you off, but what I really want to do is get people excited to hear more. And I want to honor our network, who's saying, like, okay, you guys are done.
It's true. Thank you.
Any final just wonderful words that you would love to leave with the listeners? Because I know they love this conversation. I know you've awakened them to new things. Just give them some final words before we jump into our backstage training.
Even just talking about legacy, even just being a kind person, having a kind heart, having smiles for people. That has a tremendous ripple effect, not just around the people that you're touching directly, but it ripples down. So just legacy is not this huge audacious thing that it's unattainable. It's just in your everyday actions, because how you are with other people, how you treat other people could literally impact generations. And
Absolutely.
So I think it's important for all of us to think about that. And so
thank you.
You've been awesome. Thank you for having me.
Beautiful, beautiful words. All right, I'll see you over in the lounge. Thank you so much. We'll see you in a few minutes. Folks, if you want to be a part of the Legacy Lounge, just go to our website and you can join. We have Legacy Lounge here, and then we do another hour of training. We love to have you. Just go check it out, and we will see you next Thursday with our next legend and our next leader. All right, blessings, everyone. Take care.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell your story, share your Ignite moment, show people who you truly are. Be a part of igniting humanity and making a difference in the world and all of our futures.